The year is 2012, and Marvel has just released The Avengers, which is basically a culmination of 4 to 5 solo movies revolving around characters like Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, and let's not forget some supporting characters thanks to Hawkeye and Black Widow, and of course, Nick Fury. Around that time, DC was high on the Dark Knight trilogy. Dark Knight Rises was, I think, on its way. The Dark Knight had done exceptionally well, but there was still no cinematic universe there for DC characters. Avengers proved that a cinematic universe revolving around superheroes can be really successful. DC DC was on its way with a certain movie coming out in 2013 called Man of Steel.
They'll race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun.
Zack Snyder was helmed as the director for Man of Steel as early as 2010. What kept everyone very excited was the fact that this movie was produced by Christopher Nolan. The script was written by David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan, the team behind Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. It was already confirmed that there would be a lot of references to other DC characters within Man of Steel. So this movie would be the stepping stone for a larger cinematic universe for DC characters, a live action DC universe.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about
Excuse me.
Hey everyone, welcome to Geekdom Forecast. The DCEU has finally ended. It's been 10 years. 10 years of ups and downs, mostly downs, course corrections, behind the scenes drama, actors leaving the project and coming back again, trending hashtags, controversies, Snyder fans and Snyder fans. But let's give the DCU some credit. They were really ambitious, so ambitious that they thought they could catch up to Marvel within 5 movies. There were 4 movies which led into the Avengers movie. On paper, the DCEU could have had a decent Justice League movie had they not been too vested into Batman and Superman just fighting each other thanks to Lex Luthor, and of course the brooding and dark nature of the DCEU was not suitable for everyone's palate. It is at the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice point that's where the course correction for DCEU started. The audience found Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice very dark, and the overall brooding nature of the film really didn't contribute much. You got 2 of the biggest cultural icons in the world, Batman and Superman, and they were stumbling thanks to the overall inconsistent script and sometimes confused understanding of the characters. And the studio felt that now is the time to interfere. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was expected to make $1 billion. It made decent amount of money, but just not enough. But I'm at least thankful of the fact that we did get live action versions of characters such as Aquaman and Wonder Woman within the Snyderverse. I thought it wouldn't have been possible to see at least these 2 characters. Wonder Woman did turn out to be a cultural icon. The movie was groundbreaking despite the lackluster third act. There were a lot of iconic moments in the movie. Let's not forget the trench scene and Diana just wrecking everyone. Finally, a superhero movie led by a woman with the absence of the male gaze and truly inspiring for lots of young children around the world. A movie which was a bold move by the DCEU was the Suicide Squad movie, which was released in 2016. For the first time, we had an ensemble of supervillains leading the movie, and the star power was insane. I mean, Will Smith as Deadshot, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and Jai Courtney as Boomerang, Jared Leto as Joker. It was insane and fully packed. But David Ayer has said that the movie which we got to saw was very different from his version of the movie. In fact, if you look at the trailers for Suicide Squad, the tonality of the movie changes in every trailer.
I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Nothing really matters.
The movie did make a lot of money, but it would be a long time till we got a sequel. The live action version of Justice League was released in 2017, and that movie did not do well. It did not sit well with the fans. The later years, we came to know that there was a lot of politics involved in that movie, a lot of controversies involving the director and actors. I'm not getting into the details of it all. Zack Snyder had to leave the project due to a personal tragedy. This new lighter tone of the Justice League just did not fit well. Clearly, they were going for that Marvel style of humor, and this movie was a bomb.
You say a word about this, you'll meet every piranha I know.
And thus became something which I think the DCEU will most likely be known for, is the release the Snyder Cut movement, which was started by the fans. Now, there are two sides of this movement. There were times where the fans were really united and doing the best to seek justice for the director, for the characters. At the same time, there was also a lot of toxicity within the fan base and a lot of online bullying that was involved. In the meantime, there were two DCEU movies, many would say a fresh chapter for the DCEU, and I'm talking about Aquaman and Shazam. Even though this was not the ideal Aquaman, it was Aquaman in a more Jason Momoa kind of way. Clearly, there was some comic book inspiration from Throne of Atlantis, and it was just great that it was an Aquaman movie which made the most amount of money. Shazam, in my opinion, is one of the best movies in the DCEU. The only gripe I have for this movie is that it should have been released during Christmas and not in the month of April. Very much inspired by the New 52 origin story of Billy Batson by Geoff Jones. Fans were even super excited for the next chapter of Shazam, that was Black Adam. Birds of Prey is a movie for me. It's a DC movie for me. It's alright. Nothing much. And then came the pandemic. This did not help DCU much. I think one of the best things that did come out from the DCEU was Zack Snyder's Justice League, true vision of the director and not the one which came out in 2017. That movie was a 4-hour movie, and in my opinion is one of the best comic book movies that I have seen. It truly captures the essence and tonality of Man of Steel, BVS, in a very sincere way, and it felt like a logical chapter to those movies rather than the new batch of movies which came post 2017. This movie in many ways was like a double-edged sword for the DCEU going forward. They did listen to the fans, but now fans really wanted to #restore the Snyderverse. Many just wanted to see the completion of the Justice League trilogy. In 2021, there was the sequel to 2016 Suicide Squad called The Suicide Squad, and honestly, one of the strongest movies within DC for me. I think James Gunn really captured the urgency behind the Suicide Squad. I think this movie should have been released in theaters, and I think it would have done decently well. Black Adam was supposed to kickstart what Dwayne Johnson would say the phase 1 of DC, with the inclusion of Superman in the post-credits scene, which ultimately is the return of Henry Cavill as Superman.
It's been a while since anyone's made the world this nervous. Black Adam. We should talk.
Because of this, there were a lot of reshoots in The Flash and Aquaman, which involved Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's version of Superman, basically saying that the DCEU is solidifying and the Justice League members are involved in all these movies. Not sure about restoring the Snyderverse, but the trinity of the DCEU would be established as the strong pillars of this universe. But then comes James Gunn's announcement stating that the DCU would be rebooting. Superman Legacy would be the first movie for this new DC universe called DCU. And that's when the domino effect started. The movies that came later, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Blue Beetle, they didn't do well. Flash also bombed. Interest from the audience when it comes to DC characters, it just waned. It would make sense because me as a moviegoer, as an audience member, why would I want to watch something which is already dying? The heart of most superhero movies, at least in my opinion, and currently in this world building universe mode that we are in, is what's next. How is this movie connected to that movie, and what is the ultimate payoff? Reshoots involving Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck were cancelled. It was cut from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, it was cut from The Flash, it was cut from Shazam. There was also a news report which stated that the original Justice League members, the actors, would no longer be reprising their role in the new James Gunn universe. And that's how the DCEU died a premature death. Many would ask, what is the legacy of the DCEU? Because the last few movies and the last few years of DCEU was more about, like I've said, what was going on behind the scenes than the actual movie that was being given to us. I would say the DCEU was very bold in its attempt in recreating or creating their own DC universe, trying to go toe to toe with Marvel. The solid groundwork that was laid by Man of Steel and some of the early movies, it just could not work well with what was being offered to us in the later years, because we didn't know who the Superman was. We didn't know who Batman was, who is playing Batman, who's playing Superman, where is Gal Gadot. You need the Trinity. You need a Batman, Superman and a Wonder Woman to solidify your Shazam, your Blue Beetles, your Aquamans, the Trinity needs to exist to push the DC universe forward, and we didn't have that, sadly. I am cautiously optimistic and hopeful for James Gunn's Superman Legacy. I think that movie is a make or break for this new DC universe. I really hope they can get Superman right, because if that movie does not do well, future of DC characters in the live action format involving Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, etc., it's quite dark, and not the good kind of dark.